Hello there, welcome to episode 3 of my tutorial series for Necesse. So today we're going to go finally into colony management, automation, and, well, the progress beyond the first stage of the game. Let's see how far we'll get in this episode. So previously we have hired our friend Glenn the guard. So we have now one person in our colony that's interacting with the colony. When you right click this place here, you get that setup thing here. And you can also get that with the hotbar C for colony. So what we see here is that Glenn is here, configurable. You can show him the door if you want to. You can move them from one settlement to another because we are not limited to just one of them, and we can assign them a bed. As you see here, beds are already assigned automatically. You just need to place down a bed, and then the game does the rest. So over here, we see the mood of the person. So just like in other simulation games like these, RimWorld or whatever you have played before, your settlers have a mood and that does influence their activities. I have so far only had happy citizens because it's quite easy to get them happy just as a informational thing. All this furniture, they'll use it. So if you give them a bathtub, they'll go for that and be happy about it. If you build a toilet, that will be appreciated as well. Tables and chairs will be used for eating's sake. All these things increase the mood, and that's just that. What we're most interested in now is how to tell Glenn what he has to do. So for example, that's the first thing that I want to do is I want to automate the wood cutting process, because in all honesty, wood production is one of the things that I love to outsource as quick as possible. So you go over here to the Assign Work tab, and you assign a forestry zone. First off, there's nothing on the screen. We now drag and drop here a rectangle over these trees, just like that. And now, well, let's expand that a little bit. Oh, as you see there, now we accidentally created two zones. We hold down the right mouse button to delete that one. And to expand it, I start inside here and go like this. And now I just increased the size of the zone. And you can do that with every zone. You can create them or shrink them until they are deleted. Down here, we are now configuring how the forestry should work in here. Allow chopping, replant chopped trees. So you basically could also tell your people just to raise a area or clear it from trees by leaving this check mark open. So there's really a lot of cool things that you can do. That's one part of the job, and the other thing that you need to do is go into the work priorities and make sure that the person here is activated on this job. And as we see, Glenn the guard is not able to do farming. That's because his job is just incompatible with that. So we're going to fix that, and we're going to head on over to our friends in the neighborhood. The easiest way to get yourself some people for your village is to visit another village. It's easy like that. Just make sure that you have some coinage at your hand. The other method that you could go for is you can just wait until people arrive. Your colony will attract constantly people, and these will ask for, well, it'll ask for citizenship, but most of the people that come here, like guards and villages, are recruitable per se. A couple of more advanced people will not be joining your colony just for free. So, for example, the pawnbroker or other merchants are really hard to recruit. So you will have to pay a cost, though, and the other thing is you will have to have food for those people. So that means when you are on other tiles than your home tile, feel free to pilfer and destroy and pick up whatever you want, all right? If you see a apple tree, that's good stuff. If you see a berry bush, extremely good stuff, because your citizens will just pluck the stuff from the bushes pretty autonomously, and that means, well, every berry bush and every apple tree is basically food for more colonists, where you don't need to do much more than just placing it down. I thought we are supposed to find a village here. As you see, the map tiles are pretty big, and here we go. That's what we've been looking for. Sadly, I haven't found any apple trees or berry bushes. It's just something that you can and should look for. So we're looking here not for a mage nor a stylist, although you can always find these in these villages. We're just looking for a plain old villager. These are always here. And like I said in the previous episode, feel free to loot these houses as you see fit. Leather and wool from these buildings. It is a little bit cheap, it might be, but well, I really don't mind. For the sake of getting of being faster here in the tutorial series, it is totally worth it. But for your own gameplay, well, I just like to say decide for yourself if you want to boost up your progression or not. I can see this as a very, very useful thing if you're playing for, I don't know, your 10th time or something like that, and you're just trying something new with your friends, and you just want to get in there fast. Then it's pretty useful to know where you can get yourself some resources. So this villager wants some coins and some leather, so luckily we looted some. And yeah, this guy here can do crafting, forestry, and farming. That's exactly what we want to have. The other job that is pretty invaluable are animal trainers. I think, well, farmers. Farmers are also very interesting, because let me show you. A farmer can also do the fertilized job, which non-farmers can't do. But since we don't have fertilizer on our hands, we can't recruit that guy. I could basically buy fertilizer until I could recruit that guy, but I'm not down. But just as a side note, we're also going to recruit that dude if we could. 51 wheat. That's a pretty costly one. Now, one colonist is more than enough for the sake of demonstration. We're just going to get ourselves our recall scroll and teleport home, just like that. So let's sleep through the night, and then we're going to set up the rest of the automation there. You see that little hovering I'm missing a bed icon? This is when your folks don't have a place to sleep at. This is showing you that you need to do something about that, which we will do it the next day. Usually in your colony, as long as you have staked out everything with a few torches, the night time isn't too dangerous at all. We haven't done that yet, and we should do that. You can, of course, do this with lanterns, and you can do a lot of styling in your colony. I'm very sorry if it bothers you, but this tutorial series will have a pretty meager and simplistic thing here. So we're going to build a new oak bed, and I'm going to place it down right here, just like that. So our new friend now has a bed for himself, or we're just going to assign it to him. Very unhappy. So we're going to assign a bed there, and just like that. You see, happiness increases, but happiness on Glenn decreases. So let's check that out. How are you feeling? So I'm sharing my room with other settlers is a decrease. As you see there, pretty simple thing. You want those people having their own rooms, ideally. So we can now sew out new stuff. What's important to note is your people in the colony, as long as they have the farming job enabled, will automatically pick everything from the fields, as long as it's in their permitted zone. But they won't, and they will resow it. They will harvest and resow it. But they're unable to decide for themselves to put something new on the field. So in other words, when you're building new farmland, you always need to do the starter manually. So this field here, to put something on the field, you need to sow it yourself. Your dudes will be unable to do so. Now, this chest here, now we are going to go into the configuration thing, is allowed that everything can be put into there. This means whatever your folks in the village will harvest will now be ultimately dumped into this one chest. That is really, really good stuff for beginners. You can go extremely far with this system. Let's roast ourselves some mutton while we're at it, because we need some food. Just shift left click that to have some food to put into our hotbar. Okay, so these are the very, very basics of automation. Another thing that we can do is we can build a feeding trough for our animals. As soon as I have picked up that iron, that is, I think. check. So, too many items. We can go for crafting filters, but if you want to know what to craft and where to craft, the traveling merchant has a recipe book where you can look it up, but it seems to be at the regular workstation. This is one of the things that regularly messes me up, at which workstation you can create what, but here's the feeding trough. So this is automatically feeding your animals. So your animals won't do anything weird without food, don't you worry. They're not going to be starving or anything, but they're also not going to be reproducing. To get your animals to reproduce, you need to feed them. There you go. Fed. And now 0% tame. This can be repeated time and time again, and once that tameness reaches 100%, they are going to start to breed. The easier way to do that rather than manually is to put some wheat into the feeding trough. So when you put this thing onto your settlement storage, you can now see that you can give it free for your colonists, so they will put the wheat automatically in there. When we go over here in the priority menu and put this on higher priority, this will lead to the following. First, they will dump any harvested wheat, if we have any. We don't have any, we need more seeds. They will dump any harvested wheat into this chest, and then it will be redistributed over there because this is the priority slot. So this way you can sort inventories all the way you want to. It's a very effective and simple system which allows you to do all manner of crazy things. I will illustrate a few of these in the course of the series, but for starters, I think this will suffice. Alright, so there's Catherine the Angler. Wonderful. So here you go. We could hire just another person here, and I think I will do so. So here again, the same problem. She does require a bed to stay at, and at this point, your colonists, the more you want of them, the more beds you will require. This also brings you to the point that you will have a pretty steady demand on wool. So for starters, I'll just keep it like that. I've told you that you shouldn't do that if you want to make the people really happy. You would be ideally distributing this differently, but for starters, this is absolutely okay. Now then, after you have set up this, what will happen now is that as soon as the trees in here are grown, somebody will start chopping them. It doesn't look like it's working right now, but that does mean that it's just not done yet. You can here now set up priorities. So we could tell Catherine to do the forestry by left-clicking that once. So this is now a high priority for her. You can do a lot of things here. You can automate pretty much everything in the colony. We can go as far as automating the forge. So you add the workstation to the colony, you add the recipe for iron bars and for copper bars. And now you see you have them configured. This way they will operate the workbench until we have 100 iron bars in the colony's position. You can configure that differently. I'll configure that just as a do forever job. What this will do is if you now dump any ore into one of these chests, they will pick it up and automatically smelter it. And once it's done, they will take out the product and put it into the open chest. You will see that this one chest that we got here will be soon not enough anymore. Hey, there you see, Glenn is doing the wood chopping. Like I said, just be patient. And this means that you can go places from here. So I'm just setting up a second chest like this and set it open for the colony like that. And just like this, you also have set up a dump chest. So we could now build an extra building for metals or workforges and set up a chest with a high priority, and then you can just dump things in there and redistribute. And, well, it's a very, very nifty and easy understandable system. I think I don't need to say much more about that. Our fisher has one superpower. As you see there, the fisher has the ability to do fishing. So there are people who can do husbandry. There's people who can fertilizing, although You don't need a dedicated farmer for doing the for harvesting crops. As you see, a farmer is only able to do fertilizing. Fertilizer is created by building a composter, and then you can just dump in there either foodstuffs or spoiled foods. I'll just build one in a hot second. So our little city is already growing, and from this point on, the food supply and the buildings are your limit, basically. You just need to make sure that your colony has enough food for everybody. So that means setting up a decent food production is all it takes. As you see there, this little field here is already working on out. We can now just use the products of our colony, namely that wood, to set up more farmland. This way we can spread more cabbage, and from that point on, you see where this leads to. Now, the wonderful thing about Necesse is if you don't configure too much, it'll just work. Not ideal, but it'll work. Another thing that I want to talk about next is the equipment tab. So everybody in your colony has gear. A guard, as you see here, has automatically a pretty decent gear from the get-go. You can craft gear for your people. Let's, for example, check this out. They have copper swords, so that's somewhat decent, but I personally, for myself, decide that my folks here are supposed to have copper armor. There we go. So now we can either talk to the person directly. Hello, Glenn. Let's look at your equipment. And then we can put the armor in there directly. Just make sure. Here's the cosmetic slot. This is that one. And that's that. Or, to make things easier, we just put the armor in there. And the automatic configuration says that everybody is allowed to manage their equipment themselves by using settlement storage. So what'll happen next is that somebody here, Catherine or Glenn, will at some point update their equipment and then just wear that bronze chest plate that I just put in there. Eventually somebody will put it on. I haven't yet found out when they update their equipment, but eventually all the stuff that I put into these chests will be worn eventually by somebody. So this is how you can distribute it automatically, but you can also talk to the people, and here you see you can just uncheck that, which allows you to get the person to equip just what you want to wear them, what you want to allow them to wear. So we can now also ask people to join our adventuring party, but I want to delay that topic to another day because, one thing at a time. Don't want to overbloat this just with these things. So here's my private supply chest. I could also connect that now to the settlements chest, or however I want to. At this point, you are already very free in how you are setting up your entire infrastructure and logistics, as there is so much that you can do already at this point. But we are ought to set out to do more than that. And this means we want to do some progression. That means we need to slay the evil's protector, and so we shall do. Yeah, there's more than that. To do so, the easiest way is to rack up a couple of colonists here, and the next thing you do is you check out that your defend zone is large enough. So the defend zone is the area where your people will feel like killing off monsters in. So ideally, put some torches inside of your defense zone, so you will basically have the advantage in terms of light. So that's that. Alright, that'll work out. This is enough for the boss. The boss fight is being started by using a mysterious portal at night. So what you should take care of to have before you start is a nice stockpile of health potions, at least a decent ranged weapon, be it a decent bow with ammo, or one of these hammers. In my well, we're going to take a gold bow here because I'm feeling like it. So, and yeah, then we'll just wait for the night. It's very important that you got yourself armor as well, because you need to tank some damage. And the more people you have in your colony, the easier this fight will get. That's really, really important to say. So it's night, so we're eligible to get started. We're now going to use our potion pouch, and I highly recommend to sip in a health regen potion. So there we go, activated, and let's use that mysterious portal. The boss will be summoned where you use the portal, so make sure you do it somewhere in the middle of your colony. The boss will spawn portals, which spawn monsters, as you see. And your colonists will feel absolutely like taking this fight personally and help you out. So keep an eye out for your HP and just kite around that thing while you and your friends are cutting it down. You're also should note that only the guard is automatically fighting. The other people have a profile which lets them hide inside automatically, as far as I remember. So ideally, you either put them into your party if you want to, have more fighters, or you just recruit guards. Personally, I'm a big fan of recruiting guards, as these are very, very powerful per se. They come with iron gear, and yeah. So pressing Q, it's the hotkey for the health potion, and it's also worth mentioning that bosses in this game have faces, which means the lower their HP gets, the more aggressive they'll grow. And here you see again why it would have been wise to just have added the guard to my party, because the guard all of a sudden doesn't feel like this is close enough to the colony anymore. So there's the big rain of fire. There we go. So new portal spawns. We're almost through with it. And there we go. This one was close enough to the colony again, and my folks are back in. What's really important to note is that your health potion has a 30-second cooldown, and that is why you need some armor to get the job done. So, we're looting some things, and just illustrated how you can do this. So, join my adventuring party, and then you can just go for it like that. Can configure a lot of things, but now that person is following me and would have been fighting in that scenario, and then we can just leave the adventuring party. That's as simple as it gets. You can do much, much more than that, but equipping some gear, giving them some weapon, putting them into adventuring party, summon that boss, and you can do it easier than I did it here, but I wanted to illustrate the boss's movement pattern and stuff a little bit like that, showing how it works. The most important thing is all bosses in this game work somewhat like that. The lower their HP gets, the more dangerous they'll get, and the more hostile and volatile they'll be. So you really need to be careful around that. So, with the materials that we have looted, we have now a demon heart, which can be consumed to increase our HP to 200. So, chow down and yum. The other thing we have looted is a demon cloak, which is also a consumable. You can also click on your character to consume these things. It opened up a second template where you can now do different loadouts. And we found a summoning focus. Can't hear equip or not. And most importantly, we found some demonic bars. These can be used here at the workstation to create ourselves a demonic workstation. This is basically the next tier of production. So we set that up here. Looks pretty nasty, doesn't it? And the fun part about the demonic crafting bench is it does the same stuff as a regular crafting bench. So basically you can replace that one from this point on. The demonic workbench offers a lot of interesting recipes, but most importantly, it allows us to create fresh demonic bars from our own resource pile, namely by converting regular metals into demonic metals. So we can do this like that, and we are opening up a new production line here. What we get is a set of demonic tools, which are really, really good. I highly recommend upgrading your tool section into this, as it is for the current stage of the game, pretty much the best you will get for a while. There will be better stuff along the road, not that far down the road even, but you don't do anything wrong with demonic gear at all. After that, you also get the ability to craft new things. For example, we can now create a vampiric armor set, there's a spider armor set, there are tons of different armor sets. What they all have in common is that they have a distinct set bonus, and this game knows basically four, or let's call it three archetypes of characters: melee characters, ranged characters, and summoners. You also have magic users, which are mostly ranged, but these are the three archetypes for what you can do with your gear. Here's a few more things, but I try to generalize as good as I can. And these armors, they all help you with that. So, for example, the leather set is good for attack speed, the cloth set made out of wool is good for magic damage, and so on and so forth. Decide for yourself what you want to do. I only want to leave one note here. Every trinket that you find along the way can be usually upgraded in one way or another. So if you find trinkets, always check out how they combine with what to get yourself a more powerful trinket. So, with the stuff you now know, you are able to build a real thriving city. We're keeping it simple here. We're completing the quest and getting the next one. I think I will be not doing that much more about the city building here in this tutorial series. I'll not do a big bustling village here because, it's just about the demonstration's sake. Altogether, you now know how to set up a city and all, and how to progress through the first tier. In the next episode, I'm going to guide you through the next area. We're going to go into the snow, and I'm going to talk about what is up ahead of there, and, well, what new perspectives you have available from this point on. Because basically, with the destruction of the evil protector thingy there, you have now unlocked a vast amount of new things. Among these, I just want to show you, are now the ability to do a cheese press, for example. You can make an apiary, for example. There's lots of new industrial things that you can do, and I highly recommend to just check out, by unchecking only craftable, what this new workbench can do for you. And with that all being said, we're going to continue next episode with what you what you require for the icy terrain and what's up there to progress further. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you all on the next episode, and leave me your comments, leave a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and check out the description box where you will find the playlist to this thing if you just joined on in on this episode. And yeah, feel free to support my work financially if you feel like it's worth it. There are links plentiful down there to do so, with a big thanks to all of you who do. And a big thanks to you for watching this up until the very end. Hope to see you all next time. Bye bye.